Hey there. Gosh, I don't know. I hope that's about right. I was thinking, like, talking about darn, it was gonna be windy with all the wind noise. I'm so. I was thinking, that should be fine. I might be a little off center. Just record something. I was thinking, like, there was that place that I drew a picture of, and I don't have it, of course. And I was gonna go out here and write, and then I thought, well, I'll just go ahead and record. There was the people that I met. There was like about 4 of them, and they were authors, and they would like write stuff that I would like talk about and stuff like that. And it was like we would go through like my memories and stuff. I got that picture of it there, and sometimes we'd go out for little walks and stuff like that. Out that way, there was that one like room that was a kitchen area, and it was sort of like in where the the black woman in Driving Miss Daisy was at, where she would like have that little kind of kitchen space and stuff. And she was kind of quiet and stuff like that in it, and she was in Good Times, and I used to have a crush on her. Anyway. Okay, anyway, that was like the place. It was like a room. It was sort of like I always thought it was like a kitchen, but they really didn't, nobody really cooked or did anything. Bye-bye, birdie. What was, this is like looking for food or something. Anyway, that was where there was a fellow that was like William Shakespeare, and they say, it was another fellow like at the Royal Court or something that wrote, a lot of that stuff. He actually looked like the William Shakespeare fellow. A little different once in a while because he had a little bit of a goatee and stuff, and he would dye it different colors and stuff like that. Yes, they had different colors for different things. Like he'd do like blue, or he'd do like blonde and blue or something, or black the next day and stuff. One time there was some color combination I thought was like nice, and he kept that for a while. And anyway, and and there was a fellow that was like Steven Seagal. Oh gosh, what was? Nesbitt was one of them, and he may have been the fellow that was upstairs. And then there was another fellow around in the next room, and I think he was like the William Blunt, although it may have been William Brandt or something like that. Oh shoot, what was the other one? Oh, there was another one, Paul William. Paul William, I think, was in the next room. The Blunt fellow was, I think, would walk around and listen like from the window or something, and they didn't really work out very well. So he went inside, I think, in like the next room eventually anyway, or something like that. And it was sort of like the Telltale Heart, except for I think they were everywhere except for the floor. And I would like talk, and a lot of it was like the really dramatic kind of like dark stuff first, when I was like at that building and stuff like that. Some of the stuff I wrote about, and I'll probably put on films and stuff, on film and stuff a little bit later and stuff and elsewhere. And I think that was mainly what they were interested in because they thought it was like nice and helpful to get the things out and put them out, and that's what they'll do. And then they were like, well, after a while, I talked about a lot of that stuff. I went into a lot of detail and stuff, and then they were like, well, we gotta talk, we gotta get some girls in here for, love and adventure and all that kind of stuff, And it was like they asked for like love stuff and things like that, and the ladies will love it, and it's all set up for it anyway because people heard that you were doing this kind of stuff, and they set some things up. One of the things they set up was that the William Shakespeare fellow, he was Stephen, as I recall. When I would talk about a girl, he would write the girl's name down on a piece of paper, and he'd give it to a messenger fellow that would just literally like sit there and just kind of wait. There was about 3 or 4 of them. I think they rotated in shifts or something like that, just in case, And I think they even like said one girl's name because there was one fellow that didn't have a chance to like send a message, and they would put it on a passenger pigeon or carrier pigeon or some darn thing, and they sent the message out, and it would go to the girl. And it would. He said it's a lady slaughtering. It's a lady killer, it kills like a lady every time she knows that you're like talking about her. And he said the thing is that he would write stuff and take notes, and some of the other fellows would as well. And they, there may have been a recorder there. I don't really know though. There was like somebody like off to the side, but I don't know who that was. And I don't think they were there very often. Or, I don't know. I wasn't really paying attention. Recorders usually just kind of ignored. Anyway, they would send it by. He would the messenger. Usually it was like a kid or something that got to like do it or something. It was some kid that took care of pigeons and his dad or something, and they would go down to the building was like so, and the path was like that and like this. This would be like north, or I should say northwest, and they would go down the path to like the little pigeon coop they just kind of built for the spot, and then that particular pigeon would go off to where that lady was, and they had a pretty good idea of all the ladies from where they were at, and they would get the message that I was talking about them. That's all it was just their name. The story was though is that the pigeon would land on their heads though, and pick the message out of the leg or something, the foot or whatever, and like drop it before the lady, and the lady would be like, oh my gosh, I got a letter, it's not just a pigeon on my head. And then the thing was is that the pigeon would poop, and the woman would just be like, oh, wasn't that wonderful? And it was supposed to be kind of a joke, and he says this will kill ladies, but it's okay to like talk about them. And I was like, are you sure about that? And he was like, yeah, it's a lady killer though. It kills them every time they hear something, they hear their name, they go, oh, I think I'm just about to die. I can't take anymore, And that would just be with their name on a piece of paper from a pigeon. And they would get the rest of the message like later. Although it wasn't like, the usual like 1600s kind of thing that you hear about. I think they said it would get out like quick. It would just go to, like somebody would go take it, like a Pony Express kind of thing, and then they'd put it on a boat or a ship. It'd be overnight, and the girls would get some of the notes just for like the first day, even if that's all it was, like almost immediately. And you talk about some of the other ones. Let's see. Jeez, there was a William Paul. Was that it? Could have been William Peter. I'm not sure. He was. Oh damn! Now I don't remember. William Paul would go south or something like that, I think. Southwest, I think. Dang. And then the other one, the Blunt fellow, or Brant or something like that, went he went like pretty much like directly east. And so it was something kind of like that. I may have some of the names mixed up. It was like this guy who was like Steven Seagal, and he was just like, oh yeah, you gotta write about the ladies. You gotta say more about that. He's encouraging you, and I'm telling you, And he was the one that was upstairs, and there was a vent. It wasn't for heating or anything. It was just an open vent, and the sound would echo through, and he would like listen in and stuff. And they would help him focus or something. I forgot what. There was a reason why there was only just the one usually like in the room. Although I think the Blunt fellow was in our room for like just a little bit when he got outside and didn't know where else to go. An idea didn't really work out very well. And anyway, that's what we did. And I would go in there and I would talk about the women. And there was much more talking about the women than they thought. It was like, I think they'd said like a few things, and they were like, you've been through a lot and all this kind of stuff. And we want to get the stuff that you just went through kind of out, because we might think it'd be out there and song and story, and it would be kind of nice to have it out there. And we'll talk about it this way or that way and all that kind of stuff. And you got to talk about it later. I think was one of the things. I started talking about the girls though, and they were just like, we had like no idea. I think there was a thing where I was supposed to be there for, I'll just say like, let's say like 2 weeks or 3 weeks or something like that. I think that was like the most was like 2 weeks, something like that. And then they wound up like sending out messages all over the place. And they would send it to like one person or another, like, it was almost like ambassadors to like from their own countries or something like that. I forgot, it was something like that. They were like, we need an extension, he's writing. And then the women would write in and say, let the kid talk. And so that's what I do. I'd be in the room and we would do that. He had the Steven fella had like a song where it was sort of like, it was literally like, I'm a little teacup, short and stout. And he had a little teacup, just a small one, and it was supposed to be like a little miniature one or something like that. although it probably wouldn't be that much different than some of the ones you would see maybe like in Old England or something like that. It was like really small, and he'd go ding like that with the window that was next to him. You know, it was like we were here. The door was like right out there, and the other room was like there. There was like a hall and stuff there, another room there, and then it was like there was a path that went like that, and I already put that picture out. That's right. And the passenger pigeon or something. It's probably not passenger. I don't know anything about birds. They would go like the person would wait there, and they would holler at him or something, and it was just like. It was like, I think they'd almost yell an insult at him or something. You know, they like, hey, you stupid kid, get over here, or something like that. And then like it had to be like a different insult like every time, and the kid would know to run over there. And he's like, hey, you got the message, and it was just like, yes, here it is. And then they would go off. It's not unlike the Lord thing. I think this was when I spent my time in France and on the video team where they send the message out. And there it's like these old rusty old bars and stuff like that. It was just basically kind of like a little nice little house and stuff. I thought they had like one of the windows that was open. You know, they had like these little windows like so, you know, and then they had like one of them was like open in the corner or something. And I thought it was the one in the very corner, and I thought maybe it was like the next panel over. I think it was the one in the very corner. And usually you'd like go like that, and you'd be like, okay, kid, there you go. Get it out there, you know. And then the kid would like, okay, I got it. The kid, I think there was a guy, the dad that took care of the pigeons, I don't think he ever did the message. And I think there was like 3 or 4 others just in case like something happened in the middle of the night or some odd hours or something like that. And I think eventually they kind of rotated, so they'll have a turn. Well, I think there was one of them that didn't, and I had to say like some girl's name that was like really obscure or something like that. I may not even know her name. It was like, well, there's this girl at this one place at this one time. I don't know. She kind of looked. She was sort of blonde in a brunette kind of way, you know, and it was just sort of, she was sort of tall, yet she was kind of short. I don't know, you know, that kind of thing. It was like, okay, that's good enough. We know who you're talking about. I was like, that's fine. We know exactly who you're talking about. And then they would send it out, and, you know, apparently these things would land on a woman. They dropped the message. The woman had been to pick it up. It would, the pigeon would poop on its head, and her head, and her hair, and she'd go, oh, okay. And then she'd pick up the paper and she'd read it, and it'd be like her name and stuff like that. That was like the joke anyway. So, and then we would go for walks and we would talk about that kind of thing too. I got the picture out there, and there we go. I talked a little bit too about well, I didn't get into the boss so much. Some of the not so nice fellows, they thought I was colorblind, and they wore, you know, white and black and red off, and lots of red, and you know, that kind of thing. And later it was like a lot of them would have like just, you know, red jackets and stuff. I went to like one place, I don't think it was there very long though, that had like red jackets, and kind of neat and formal, but it wasn't like the usual thing you think of, like ribbons and all that kind of stuff. It was just sort of like a red felt sort of thing, or I don't know, whatever. And anyway, there was like the boss people. When I was in, I believe northern Spain, you know, they wanted to like meet with me, and they were hoping that I wouldn't resent anything like that, and they were like really worried about that because that was like how they kind of like dressed and stuff like that. And I was like, oh, no problem. There was these 2 fellas that were like really, really tall, and they went into like this house. It was very kind of plastery and stuff like that. I guess it was sort of Spanish Moorish sort of kind of thing. Not a lot of decorations and stuff like that. It had like little wooden benches and things like that to sit on and stuff. And the fellas were in there, they were like, oh, I hope you know, you don't, you know, we're actually a very great, proud people and stuff like that, and we come from a land it's not that far away, although it shouldn't be all that far away. There was some sort of thing, I think, is even like today politically, where I think they thought they had more territory. The fellow that I was with, he was like sort of like Kenneth Braun, you know, the actor, and he was like, he was just sort of like, some people, you know, they got more land than they know what to do with now, or something. He said that, I think, when they left. I think he said that when they were there, but he like kind of under his breath, he was like, some people got more land than they know what to do with like right now, and we're nice enough to have them over, you know. Nice to have them over, I think, was like after they like left, and so this was like the France thing. I think I may have gone down to the northern Spain place not long after that. So I don't know, time-wise, probably, I don't know, mid-1600s or something. Gee whiz. That evening primrose oil is a miracle worker. Anyway, and so there was two Basque women that were there, and they had kind of this blousey sort of thing, and it was supposed to be like a really nice blouse that like a lot of women there stitched like a little bit. They'd all do a little bit of stitching. Because of it, it was a little bit, I think, rough, because if you had like one woman stitch it or on one loom or something, it would be kind of smooth. They were hoping to get it, I think, a little smoother, and it didn't, somehow like it didn't like work. And I thought, well, maybe they'll have care and character of every woman that like put, you know, their time and consideration in the kind of the thing. I always thought there was like two women. I think one of them was kind of tall and thin, and she would kind of like leave and then go back or something like that. I don't remember that well. At the very least, I think there was like one, and she was like the one that had the blouse, and she was just there, and she was just like, well, I'm just here to represent all the women that couldn't be here. It was supposed to be, I think, not so much women, but almost like all the households that couldn't be there, because they considered like the house and the woman to be like one and the same or something like that. And that she was to like kind of run it, and the men were to go out and look macho or something. I mean, literally, the men were to go out and be, you know, that kind of thing. And so I just kind of like smiled at her. She looked really nice, and she was kind of buzzing me, so I just grabbed her by her blouse. She kept talking about the blouse, and I thought that's kind of what she wanted me to do, was like grab it. And she was like, and I kind of like go like this a bit and stuff like that, and then I kind of peek in, and she was like, here, you know, she would expose her breasts and stuff like that. And they kind of went out like this a bit, and they were big, and anyway, and so she just thought that was like really nice. Much of the time she had the blouse on though, because she was like, okay, I think the ladies would love the idea that you're touching it. And so I think that's what she was saying. I don't know what she was saying exactly. It was just sort of like, and I would just kind of hold on to it. Usually I think the very first time I did it, I grabbed it, and she was just like, whoa. And she was, and I kind of grabbed like here, and then I kind of like, then I went like lower back like that, like this, and then I just grabbed like there, and she was just like, it's nice, you know, kind of, and then she, you know, she kind of relaxed a little bit, and I just kind of kept holding on to it, and I'd kind of look around and stuff like that, and I'd look at her, and how you doing? There was like a little window that was like right there, and, you know, and I was just kind of like holding on to it. I think I grabbed it with another hand too, and I was like, oh, that's awkward, so I just kind of like sat there and held on to it, and she was just like, and she was just sort of like this, like the whole time, or much of the time. I held on to it for, I guess what could be considered like an awkwardly long time. I mean, it could have been 20 minutes or half an hour or so. It was a very long time. I mean, no kidding. Like minute by minute, you could count it. One of these videos, you could probably put the camera out, and it'd be a full 25 minutes where I'd just be kind of holding on to it and kind of looking at her. I kind of look at it that way and pull on it a little bit and stuff, and I pull on it sometimes. She kind of and so well, time-wise is doing all right. So that's what that was like the Basque meeting. Oh, the Basque. The other thing too is I kind of wanted to go with them, and I thought they were sort of like tribal, like my people, and they were like into their clothes. I thought they maybe have worn the same clothes all the time or something like that, and I thought that was kind of nice, like where I was from, you know, North Vancouver Island, mainland BC, and all that. First Nation, yeah, whatever it's called. They're calling it this week. Let's see. And I thought that was like kind of cool, so I wanted to go with them. Later, when I guess at the time, and I think when I got back to like America, the Boston Corbettville place, in fact, when I was there, I used to put corn on my hair in the Corbettville, because it was like the Pope, not Pope, but he was like dressed like a bishop. I think he was a local priest, and passing himself off as the bishop, and that's like in that story, you have to look at it. But I put corn on my head, and I'd run around like this, and I would do it at parties and stuff, and this is like, you know, 1600s Boston and stuff, and the social scene and stuff, and I'd have like little bits, people would have like corn, and I would grab some. One day I just decided, I was like, I don't need to do that anymore. I've moved beyond that. I'm matured or something. I forgot what I said. Anyway, so it was something like that. And anyway, so I wanted to get one of their outfits, and I wouldn't mind if I wore the woman's blouse, but I just thought the outfit with the red and the black and this kind of stuff. There was like something where they had like red. It was almost like a string, and it was very I think the red dye was very expensive. You had to be like rich to wear a lot of it or something, and it was like very, very expensive. And it was almost sort of like this. Basically, it was kind of like that. Nowadays, I think they use like broad scarves or whatever. Then they can use as much red as they want. But it was just like then it was like these. It was like this. It was like almost this thin thread. And oh, I'm fine. At Tiger Woods, How I Golf has like a like it was almost like that. It was just only slightly thicker. It was very kind of rope-like. They were actually very careful with it. They told me. I went over and I kind of looked at what they were wearing. I'm like, dang, are you like, it's kind of like, are you interested in this? And it was just like, well, he was interested in the woman's blouse, and I was just kind of looking. They had like little black pants and stuff like that, and that kind of thing. Had some interesting kind of weird sort of dress shoes or something. But they were sort of high clog sort of stuff or something like not high heel, high platform kind of dress shoes or something. They went like so or something like that. And I think they were kind of like, well, we usually don't wear this stuff. This is like, they got us all dressed up for this kind of thing. And I wanted to get one of a uniform like theirs. I wanted to go with them. And I did a report on Bosque, in fact, in, what was it, 2002? Anyway, Schmeckett Community College, 2001, something like that. For Mr. Smith, then later Professor Smith's class, or doctorate or something. Anyway, for the linguistics class, can't even say it. I can just study it. Anyway, hey bird. All right, I saw the bird. Oh, it's over there. Whoa, he just filmed the bird. Oh my god. I didn't think about having it. I just got it. You could fix it. Whatever. Anyway, I wanted to get one of those outfits and to go back to Vancouver Island and wear one. I thought I shouldn't get off and be on land with the thing, so I thought I would go on land or in the water, in the shallow water, and I would take it off. And then I kind of thought, how am I supposed to tell the tribal people, though, my old tribe, that I need like a tribal outfit or something like that to wear? And I kept thinking too. My main thing was I was really worried that they'd be insulted that I would actually even think about living with the people, and then go off and then that he would that I would do that. But I was kind of like, well, it'd be better than hanging out with a lot of these people. Or kind of, some of them are just downright disturbing. And there was okay, and so I just thought maybe, what could I possibly do? And I was worried that maybe if I went into if I got off the boat and went into the shallow water and splashed around a whole bunch and got the water wet, it would wash away a lot of the old tribal influence that I had from the Bosques, because I figured it was just a little tribe somewhere. And then I would get really close to the shore, but I never was quite sure how close to the shore I get. Even an inch of water, is that enough? And I'd look at my feet and ankles, and I'd be, maybe that's not enough or something. And because there was a purification thing of being in the water up to your a little above your heel to about there. And there's other stories about that, and then that I've already told. And anyway. So I thought, I never really was quite sure, and then I thought they could bring me a uniform out, and then I would put it on and when I'm in the water, and then I was like, no. But then I'd have to get naked, and I was for some reason it wasn't a good idea, because it was going from one tribe to the other, you have to put on one clothes at the same time the other ones come off, and I was like, I don't know how I can do that though, So I was always kind of confused as how to do that, and I always kind of thought, how would I speak to the old Indians and stuff like that there? And I used to think Maiwa would come out and cover me and put somehow change me into clothes or something like that, in some sort of almost magical sort of way, and then she'd be like, ta-da, here he is, and I would be sort of on the water and not on the water, or in the water or out of the water or something like that. I never did really quite figure something out. the main thing was I thought, you know, if I stood on like wet rocks that had maybe just a little bit of water, not just wet, but like just a little bit